Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we will continue the narrations for the memory mappings in IS3, aka Mizuki and Karula Harbor. And in today's video we will go over the memory mapping for Operator Gladiia. But before we do so, for those of you who want to see and or haven't seen the other mappings yet, the playlist for them is in the description of the video right at the very top, together with the playlists for the different endings of IS3. Also, very quick reminder that the mappings are views into different timelines, meaning that the events in them are not canon to the regular game's stories, but they do take what we know and show us different what-if scenarios, all themed on humanity's struggle for survival against the advancement of the Seaborn. And we do get to see that from the POV of a single operator at a time in every single one of these memory mappings. However, this very rule will be slightly broken in the next two memory mappings, as you will see once we get to them in this series, but more on that, like I said, in the next two videos. So, stay tuned, like and subscribe, and let's begin with today's memory mapping for Operator Gladiia. This is memory number 6, titled Burial at Sea for Gladiia, and it says here on the left, she turns around to look at her life. Part 1. Kotsit is a little shorter than her. She walks a little slower, and her words are a little colder. Gladiia walks by her side, listening to her repeat those ancient tales. Morals, lessons, warnings. They have not known each other for long, but Kotsit has shown enough to demonstrate her power. Power? Gladiia stops in her tracks. She has seen power in many forms, most directly as the lance hanging on her back. She recalls the sights of Aegir, the fleets that once covered the ocean, how the gaze of its warriors penetrated the depths that not even sunlight could, how the pulse of knowledge throbbed within the vast academy of sciences. Finally, inevitably, ironically, and lamentably, she recalls her mother. Power. Gladiia puts a stop to the associations, but could not shake the silhouette from her mind until Kotsit chooses silence. She says nothing, politely waiting for Gladiia to gather herself. Gladiia looks at the mysterious doctor before her and gives a self-deprecating laugh. Continue, doctor. I did not mean to interrupt. There seems to be something on your mind. Forgive my bluntness, but I could not continue the conversation with a consul who is not paying attention. Kotsit pauses for a moment, then continues. Regarding the origin of the Seaborn. Gladiia chuckles to herself. She remembers when she was still a girl, how her mother passed on her tasks in just a few sentences. Did her mother observe her expressions too? She starts walking again, in order to assuage Kotsit's suspicions. She'd had to reassess her feelings towards her mother, after living on land for some time. It was more than a bond of blood. The tones were more complex, like the coral-colored vortex that the wind creates on the dome. Subconsciously, Gladiia felt that she had long since escaped that vortex. It has been a long time. She has not thought about those sentimental scenes until today. Longing, admiration, respect, fear, resentment, hatred. None of that mattered. Rather, had she ever truly escaped? Or had she simply learned that she cannot move when swimming against the tide, and that when allowing the tide to carry her along, it is only the scenery before her that moves? Aegir. Personality, attitude, even her human nature. From head to toe, everything about her was molded by Aegir, or more accurately, by her family. An absurd thought flashes across her mind. As a consul, as an abyssal hunter, as someone who has always fought for the greater good, she seems to have difficulty identifying the origins of this greater good. Do you need some rest, Madam Consul? Please, call me Gladiia. Kotsit nods in silence. Their gazes meet. You are seeking like-minded people to find a way to save your country. Yes. So you need new companions? Yes. Then we can reach a consensus, but perhaps you should be seeking more than just that. Gladiia suppresses her surprise. She has always been good at hiding her thoughts, even when facing herself with the cruelest, most harsh attitude. Katz's gaze remains cold, but Gladiia does not feel it is due to indifference. Very well, Doctor. You've told your story. Now it is my turn to speak on the present state of Ager and the plans of its chief designer of warfare, Kalset. Very well, Kalset. Gladiia gazes out over the ocean. Let's start with the mother. Part number 2. Knights. At Rhode Island, Gladiia has seen Kazimierzians claiming to be knights. There was nothing complicated about their history, simply the result of the clash between Kuranta military tradition and farcical consumerism. But no interpretation of the world suited the knight before her. The Iberian soldier beside her cannot conceal his impatience. Once again, he asks the consul for permission to attack, but she remains silent. These two seaborn are unusual, answers the Inquisitor on behalf of the taciturn council, but not to be underestimated. We should continue to observe their movements for now. See, the surviving soldiers have heard of him, one way or another. The last night. Gladiia remembers when she first encountered him at the Eye of Iberia. The ocean is vast and its forces innumerable. What were the odds of encountering the same seaborn multiple times? Or had the key from that tiny village in Kazimierz tied everyone's fates together? This encounter is simply another terrible coincidence? Clouds darken the sky, and the sea breeze brings with it a dank, rotten stench. The knight and his loyal follower rise and ebb on the waves along with the ocean's breathing. Gladiia has been thinking about it. If the knight and his mount are humanity who have fallen, like those drags of the church, then their actions were too haphazard, too meaningless. But if they have fallen even further than the drags of the church to become even closer to we many, how did they manage to ignore the will of we many, and even the requests of their kin? Gladiia frowns, feeling a sense of nausea. Why would she feel empathy for this inhuman creature? Why is she subconsciously treating them as her equal? When did she start doing that? A crack of thunder drags Gladiia back to reality. A young sailor looks up anxiously at the sky. The weather's getting worse. Visibility is decreasing. She looks at the Iberian soldier who spoke. But there's something unusual about it. Another crack of thunder, and the sea begins to foam. A black ocean that causes discomfort at a genetic level to any viviparous creature of the land. Sweat seeps across the brows of the soldiers, and quiet surrounds Gladiia. The weak sunlight shining through the clouds flickers. The ocean is filled with an eerie silence. Until the knight looks up. Gladiia has thought about why his last vestige of reason made him rage against the waves of the ocean. Was it an allegory for we many? Or for Isharmla? Or... Gladiia suddenly jumps into the water. A moment later, the Inquisitor reacts, ordering the fleet to follow the swift Abyssal Hunter. The knight looks up at the almost exact moment. A massive wave rises soundlessly from the horizon. Uttering a bizarre screech, the knight charges towards it through it and watches as the next wave roils towards him. Gladiia realizes that she has been thinking a lot lately. Suddenly, it occurs to her that perhaps the last night did not act according to any logic at all. Only the purest thoughts of obsession and struggle drive it to destroy everything on the sea. Including her, including the waves. Gladiia has been thinking too much. She remembers Ulpianus' advice. For a consul, it is an asset. For a soldier, it is a liability. Gladiia attacks, framed by the light of the last embers of the setting sun, as if it is being extinguished beneath the waves. Perhaps it is an image that her life has always lacked, but this man cannot be seaborn. Part number 3. Gladiia spends a few minutes confirming that she cannot swim anymore. She sits calmly at the bottom of the sea, feeling the pressure press on her skin and the temperature caress it. She recalls her hometown, the first nursing robot she saw when she was little, and the blurred outlines of her mother's face. She feels the voices leave her. Ishar Mla's voice is gone. The long struggle, the question that had plagued Ager for centuries, the existential threat that loomed over Terra, all vanished when the deplorable false god, her closest comrade, died. Only the console is left, here and now. At the last moment, Ulpianus had given up his chance at survival to his junior. How ironic. He was not the sort of person to flip through a console's personal files, and the two of them have never brought up seniority. Only now, with the long war finally over, does Gladiia start entertaining the idea of letting her guard down. She realizes that perhaps she had never truly known Ulpianus. No, that also includes Laurentina, Skadi, and everyone else. They had always treated each other as Ager, as abyssal hunters, as kin, as comrades. But their scent has vanished, lost to the sea along with the last fleet. Gladiia smiles. She knows how this ends. The song does not cease, even after destruction and sacrifice beyond reckoning. This is about more than one false god. The footsteps of doom have never slowed. Ulpianus was right. Skadi may have tried to remind everyone of this at a time when their hearts had gone astray, but Gladiia feels surprisingly at peace. Value and meaning that she had never imagined creep into her mind. In a game where there could only be one result, she found a way to accept it all. After a brief moment of rest, she tears off the flesh of a sea terror and covers her own bleeding wounds. Her body is now no different from we many. She stands up. Bioluminescence illuminates the pitch-black ocean floor for her. In the nearby ocean currents, millions of seaborn raise their bizarre limbs and watch her every movement intently. We many beg her to submit, to abandon meaningless resistance, to forsaken meaningless death. She understands their intentions. She is made to. It is the very last thing distinguishing her from them. She gazes at the resting place of Ishar Mla. She gazes where the god awoke. Gladiia knows that when their kin ask, we many always answer. Therefore, how many are left? She asks. And that is the entire memory mapping for Gladiia. As depicted in the story, once again, this is a timeline where Ishar Mla awoke. The Seaborn essentially rose and started attacking pretty much everything around her, as it is also implied in the story. Humanity is already being pushed quite far on the brink, and unusual alliances are being formed all over the place. The Abyssal Hunters with the Inquisition, Gladiia searching out Calcit to ask for more help, reminiscence of the past, and a interesting look at our dear friend the Last Knight. And yes, if it wasn't clear already from all the stories where he was included so far, that guy is way beyond what a normal Seaborn is, or rather what a person who transforms into a Seaborn yet remains sorta human-shaped, or human-shaped in some cases, aka Mizuki. This guy is driven by pure hatred, or pure obsession, or pure illusion? Something is running in a different direction in his mind, and that is kind of keeping him sane in a weird sense, so to speak. But he is very powerful, and at the end of the day, apparently no one survives. As we see in part 3 in this timeline, Gladiia is the last survivor of this force that has essentially attacked Ishar Mla and killed it. And yes, as a reminder, Ishar Mla is Skadi. Or rather, Isharmla is inside or part of Skadi's body, yet not in our timeline awoken. He lies dormant. But in pretty much almost all of these memory mappings and timelines, Isharmla awakes, takes over, and apocalypse starts. And in part 3, here we see the aftermath of the battle with Gladiia being the last survivor, acknowledging that she has now also completely transformed into a Seaborn. Even though it doesn't get confirmed here, it seems to indicate that she is still physically, or look-wise, probably still looking like herself. Maybe with a couple of, you know, scalies here and there. Nothing wrong about that. But she's the last force standing, or swimming in this case, I guess. And she will keep on going until every single one of these false gods is dead. That is quite a task. But we have 2 more left in these memory mappings, which we're gonna be covering in the next 2 videos in this series. One for Skadi, one for Mizuki. And of course, the ending 4 has to also be added yet, which I'm working on currently, as this video is going live, so should be out as well over the next couple of days on the channel. So please look forward to all of that. There's a couple of very interesting stories ahead, especially ending 4 and Mizuki stuff. Oh boy, that is another can of worms. But that will be all for the next few videos. Until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, or rather, please consider leaving a like on the video. It will help me a lot and mean a lot to me. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And if you want to support me and my work more directly, there are memberships on the channel as well if you want to pick up one of them. You don't obviously need to, because no video will ever be behind a paywall. But regardless, thank you very much. And to the already existing channel members, thank you very much for all the support that you have given so far. Alright, but with that, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.